This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Let's talk about pets, baby. Let's talk about ticks and fleas. All the fun things that we see. Smart tips and tricks guaranteed.
Hey pet friends, it's Nessie here. We have a little treat for you. I have Dr. Calvo here with us today. She received her Bachelor's of Science at the University of Tennessee, Martin, and went to University of Tennessee to obtain a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. She is born and bred in Tennessee in Hendersonville and is now residing in Cheatham. I'm happy to have her here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing good. I thought today we might talk about something you're passionate about, which is the client relationship of veterinary medicine.
Yeah, and it's something that has definitely evolved over the last decade of being out of vet school. It's one of those things that you don't think about. Well, most vet students don't think about when they go in. They just think about the animal aspect. But you really do have to pay attention to the other part of that bond, which is the clients themselves.
Is that what got you into animal medicine in the first place?
I've just always wanted to be in this field ever since probably about second grade. So it's just been a lifelong thing for me. I will say the bond as far as the human aspect of it has grown significantly since I've had my son. He'll be 3 in March. It's definitely evolved a lot since he's been born. A lot more in tune with behavior and people's feelings and things like that.
When did you get started in the field? Did you start in kennels?
No, I was definitely a kennel girl to start out.
Nice.
I started, I want to say I was still in high school, I believe, as a kennel girl. And I started to become an assistant when I was in undergrad, and then it just kind of went from there.
I'm a vet tech. I decided that was kind of where my expertise would end, and I would let more sophisticated folks become the veterinarian.
Well, we need those people. I mean, I'm only as good of a vet as I could be if I have that staff that's helping me out. So we definitely need a lot more assistants, technicians at this point. I think at this point in time that we need veterinarians.
What is your favorite relationship story that you want to share today?
I had a lot, but I guess I'll just throw a couple out because we could talk all day about this. It's kind of similar to how you and I met. So Instagram, one day I was just kind of perusing Instagram and I happened to love the band Dashboard Confessional. I mean, they're one of my all-time favorites. And I noticed that their tour manager was actually moving to Hendersonville, which is where I am from. And so I was like, I'll message him. And if he doesn't respond, I don't care. I'm just going to throw it out there that I'm from there and I might be able to hook him up with a vet if he needs somebody in that area. So we got to talking, and his name is Jack Funk. I just call him Funk. I told him, I was like, look, I've got a couple of places you could potentially bring your dog in that area because I'm from there. And he was like, well, why don't I just come to you? I'm about 45 minutes away. That's a long drive. I mean, we met on Instagram, and then next thing you know, he's in my office in person and I'm taking care of his dog. And she was an amazing dog. She unfortunately passed away from cancer. I'm going to say it was about a year or so. It may have been a little bit longer than that now. That was a very tough day for both of us because as you get to know these people, you get to know their pets. I mean, they become part of your life. And then all of a sudden, you've got that pet that's sick and she's more than a pet at this point. I mean, I was very thankful that we were able to do it on a day that I wasn't working. So I wouldn't have had to, you know how it is. You go in one room, you euthanize a pet, and then you come out and then you got to go see a kitten. It's like a big roller coaster for sure. I was able to do it on a day where nobody was there. So he was able to bring her up, and my husband was with me too. The lead singer's wife was with him for his support. And then we just peacefully let her go that, I think it was a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Just having that experience made me realize that you really do have to care about the person that animal is attached to.
Yeah, I think it makes the vet care easier too. I think the client is going to be more compliant if you have a better relationship with them, because they're going to maybe put more stock into what you say over Dr. Google if they can trust. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, it's nice to have those relationships with clients that I don't give my number out a lot. A handful of clients that do have it. And it does make the situation easier to be able to just kind of explain to them, even if it's after hours, little things, and it makes them feel better about everything. I don't recommend doing that for every client, but you will probably, as you get further down the road in this profession, you'll probably have a few that will have your number, be able to kind of personally chat with you after hours.
I have made a couple of those friends now. I call them friends just because they are people that I would see outside of the professional setting, just because we hit it off so well.
Yeah. You definitely have that where you're like, hey, this person's pretty cool. I could see myself hanging out with them. There's a few of those. And then there's those times where I refuse to go to local stores around here unless I've got like a hat on and some sunglasses so that nobody sees me.
Doctors at my hospital, they have their scrubs covered so that you can't see their name.
Yeah.
They got the hats on. They still get noticed sometimes. They're pretty popular around here, but they try.
Yeah, you just want to go in, get your groceries, and get out.
Even as a vet tech, if people find out you work with animals, they're like, oh yeah, so my dog has this thing on his toe. What do you think of that?
It's like, I don't know. Go see your vet.
You can probably see a vet about that.
Yeah.
Before I was a vet tech, I was a groomer, and you would have people that would come in and be like, hey, do you think I should see a vet about this? I'm like, if you're concerned, you should. I am not a vet. I'm a groomer. We have the weird occasions where people come in and be like, can I get my dog neutered while he's here? No. We can give him a real nice haircut.
Yeah, we do have like a grooming side in our clinic, and our poor groomers, they'll get those questions all the time, and thankfully they're like, well, if you just go down that door right there, you can go ask the veterinarian. Yeah, I can't imagine being a groomer and being on a stand-alone and being like, oh yeah, I can't help you with this, I'm sorry.
Groomers are important in that way, because a lot of times they might find the things before the owners do, because they have their hands all over the dog, and they'll be like, hey, there was this weird thing that wasn't there last time, you should probably go get it looked at. But we weren't attached to a vet, so all we could do is make those suggestions. There was one time I was dealing with a cocker that had real bad cocker ears. I liked to shave the entire underside of the ear. And so he was like having an odor, and I went to lift the ears to shave them, and they were black. And so I called the owner and I was like, hey, I'm going to need you to come get Roscoe. We'll call him Roscoe, and take him to a vet. His ears are very bad, and I don't feel comfortable moving forward with a groom today. And he's like, oh, that's just the WD-40 I put in there. He's got an ear infection.
Lord.
So I am not a doctor or anything, but I feel like WD-40 in the ears does not fix ear infections.
No, I mean, I like my WD-40, but definitely not on body parts for sure.
I couldn't imagine the veterinarian's face when they showed up and they're like, what is this? Oh, just the WD-40.
I'm surprised we haven't got one of those yet we're kind of out in the boonies. It's starting to build up now, but we've seen some things, and most of the time around here, it's, we got that blue spray from Tractor Supply. You know what the blue spray I'm talking about, or the purple spray?
You obviously know what the purple spray is.
Yeah.
One time we had a woman who wanted a refill of a medication, but she couldn't remember what it was called, so she drew it, and she drew a little blue pill, and we were like, that looks like a blue pill. I can't tell you what that blue pill is, but it's definitely a blue pill.
Oh,
especially because different manufacturers may make the pill looking different.
Yes.
It could have been this, but also that's not what they look like in our pharmacy right now. So I don't know what your blue pill was.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
I would like to share a review with you if you're ready.
Okay, here it comes.
It is for a dog park in Australia. It's called the Cabana Off-Leash Dog Area, and it is a 1-star review from, we're going to call him Ryan.
Okay.
Ryan said, very confusing. I wanted to go to the botanical gardens, but I ended up at the dog park.
Ryan, I think you need to do your Google search a little bit better than what you did, buddy.
How did you get from a botanical garden to the dog park?
I don't even know.
Did Siri do that to you? Does she have it out for you maybe?
I feel like, yeah, he may have just been listening a little bit too heavy on the AI. I have no idea.
I think while he was at the dog park, he saw some plants and things. So that could count, right? You could go look at a nice bush.
I mean, it is Australia. Depends on what part of Australia, I guess.
My favorite are these dog parks because they just get wild.
Well, you said you're in Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I figure it's more botanical that way than...
It's real sandy here.
Real sandy?
Because we're near the beach.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
Gifts for my pets, sparkle and love, under the tree, from heaven above. Gifts for my pets, joy in the air, unwrapping dreams without a care.
Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and is conveniently located on the cat tree. Go to cattreetray.com. Bring home a luxury French Bulldog from the world-famous Tom King's Kennel. Premium French Bulldogs from excellent European bloodlines. Superior puppy care and lifetime health guarantee for your perfect companion. Use code TomKingsMagic for a magical holiday discount. Visit TomKingsKennel.com and find your perfect Frenchie today. Your pets will be over the moon with sparkly jewelry from Over the Moon Jewelry. Beautiful handcrafted matching jewelry for you and your pet. Wire-wrapped, beaded contemporary necklaces, bracelets, and charms. Go to overthemoonjewelry.com.
Gifts for my pets, joy in the air, unwrapping dreams without a care.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Now back to the show.
I have another one for you. This is for a dog park in Alaska. It is a 1-star from Joe and Lisa put together. I make up a lot of names. She said, "We used to take our dog here at least twice a week and walk the trail. After a large dog, why can't I say large dog?
I don't know.
After a large dog was attacked and drug into the water by a beaver and killed, we have stopped coming to this park completely. It's just not worth it. The unchecked beavers and moose, the thin ice in the winter, it's just a dangerous spot to take your pup. Sadly, we switched parks. It's not worth the risk anymore."
How big was that beaver? If it was a large dog,
I don't know. He drug him into the water and everything.
I don't know how big that beaver was. What was that dog doing to get that beaver as angry as it did to take that dog into the water and drown it?
Also, it says the ice is real thin and stuff in the winter. Why are you walking on the water? Should you not be on like the pathway? Maybe the beaver is mad that you're in the water.
I wouldn't have been walking out that way anyway if you got moose involved.
Oh, yeah. The moose should be scarier than the beavers, but apparently they've adapted to be like, oh, you want to walk your dog here? I could take them.
As far as I know, beavers don't eat meat, so
I don't know what he wanted him for.
No idea. I don't think I'd want to go swimming in that water. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Carrie. You're on your own.
What kind of dog is Carrie?
She's a Heinz 57. She's a super mutt. We did the embark test on her, and I don't know how many breeds came back. I think like 40% of it was super mutt. So, okay, my dog's a mutt. Thank you for telling me the obvious.
Good job, DNA test. I have a couple lab mixes, and they're being surprisingly good right now. Not even like a walk-in to see what I'm doing type deal, which is very rare, especially when I'm doing things that don't involve them. So we're just going to let that keep going.
Well, I don't know if you saw my story earlier. My little tree frog, he's actually like right behind me. He's gone off. He's croaked like 2 or 3 times today, and he's old. He's like 17 years old, so I would call him a little old man. I don't know what his problem. I guess it's because we're having nice weather. It went from like 90s to low 70s, so I guess he's like, oh, it's spring again. His croak is not, you know the nice tree frogs you guys probably have in Florida. His is not a nice croak. It sounds like a dying squeaky shoe. Like, that's all I can explain it as.
How many animals do you have?
I've got the dog, I've got a cat, I've got the frog, and then 2 lizards. One's a green iguana that is actually from your neck of the woods that somebody brought up here. And the other one is a Euromastic scary. So he's a little spiny-tailed lizard. Okay, how many times do you guys get somebody asking for a Bordetella vaccination, but they call it something else?
A lot.
Okay. we've had Portobello,
The Bordetella?
or when they're like, can we have that temper vaccine? What are you talking about? The temper vaccine that calms them down. I'm like, you mean distemper? That's a vaccine.
I have also heard, well, my dog doesn't have a temper problem, so why do we need that?
Oh yeah. And it's like, no, that's not what it's for.
Simparica Trio? Do you hear?
We do, but I don't know if we've had anybody say it differently, but they've thought that it was something else completely. And we're like, no, this is for parasites, not for seizures. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
We get the Simpatico. Their pets are on the Simpatico.
That's a pretty good one. Simpatico.
Yeah, that one happens a lot.
It's all about that communication. I think that's our number one problem in our field is if you don't have good communication, you're not going to have a good relationship with your client. That's definitely a big thing that I've evolved over the 10 years being out of vet school. Just try to be a little bit more on par with which client I'm talking to, whether they're a doctor themselves or if they are just out of high school. You kind of have to tone it to whatever conversation you need to have it. We are lucky in that we are, I wouldn't say small town, but I guess we're more of a close-knit community. I do have a lot of people in this area that I'm pretty close to now after meeting them and being their vet for the last 10 years. I've got a owner, he's got 2 bull mastiffs, or he had. Odie, unfortunately, just passed away from cancer as well. But Mesa, she's a funny girl too. She's got a lot of issues, but bull mastiffs, unfortunately, they're a breed that it's a mastiff and a bulldog make a bull mastiff. And those 2 breeds, yeah, they've got problems. But poor little girl had a couple of bumps pop up recently. So I was able to remove them and we're still waiting on results. But Dad, of course, he's all worried and he gives me a text yesterday. He's like, are they back in? So I'm able to look into the portal and I screen capped it and it still said pending. I was like, it's pending. You got to hold horses. As soon as I know, you will know too. He lives off a big river that runs through Middle Tennessee. It's called Cumberland River. And pre-baby, I used to actually swim that river. We have no YMCA in this area or any public pool.
You do not have gators?
No, we don't have, not yet. We don't have gators yet.
Listen to the Florida girl. You're getting river water and stuff?
No, it's not really that safe anyway to begin with. I mean, I don't know how many dead bodies are pulled out of that river each year, but
oh my God.
I used to be an endurance swimmer. I really want to keep fit, keep shape, but there's no pool. And I mean, the closest pools are 30, 45 minutes away, which I mean, after work, if you're wanting to work out, you don't want to drive 35 to 40 minutes to go work out and then have to drive all the way back.
Yeah.
He lives off that river and he let me swim that slip. And I remember he was walking Odie. Odie was a 165-pound bull mastiff. I mean, he was a
That's not a small dog.
Yeah, big boy. I just see him on the edge of the river and he sees me and all of a sudden he starts walking towards the river and his owner's like, Odie, you can't swim. Stop. But he's just walking. I'm just thinking, I'm going to have to save this 165-pound dog from drowning. Yeah. But he's so funny. I mean, he was just, bull mastiffs, they're bred, at least the last time I looked this up, they're bred to, if they find an intruder, they're supposed to sit on them. That's the whole reason why they're as big as they are, is they're supposed to sit and like make sure that person stays there until their owner comes. Oh. Well, Odie, as soon as he would see you, he would come and sit on you. That's 165 pounds of sitting on your, I don't know how many times he almost broke my toes from sitting on me. No. I was like, oh, it's nice to see you too, Odie. He was so big and he didn't know he was that big. He definitely made me have to like think outside the box with certain situations because I had to do a couple of surgeries on him too. Our table is not, well, it did eventually hold him. I will say that. But trying to get him onto that table, we have a hydraulic lift table. And so we would have to like induce him for the procedure on that table. and then wheel that table into the surgery suite and then get him onto the surgery table. Unfortunately, his allergies were really bad. He would get like sinusitis and he had asthma, but he's a 165-pound bull mastiff. How do you treat that with an inhaler? So the AeroDoc, the little spacer it's for the Flovent inhaler. But anyway, there's a spacer that goes on. It's an inhaler that humans use. You can't just squirt that into a dog's mouth and expect them to inhale it. So there's a spacer you put on it. And then that dog, you put the nose in that spacer and then they breathe for a few breaths and then they have their medicine. Well, Odie's 165 pounds and his head's about 1.5 times my size. Dad had to rig up his own spacer for the inhaler. I like thinking outside the box on certain things like that. And I guess that's why if I had my way, I probably would have gone into zoo med or wildlife med, because there's a lot of things out there that we can treat, but we have to think about it for a second before we can get a plan together. Having that relationship with his owner let me do a lot of things in my career that have helped me learn and be able to give that experience to future pets that are big boys, big girls, because I was able to learn on these guys. It's nice having that ability to know how to handle giant breed dogs.
When we do our surgeries and stuff on Great Danes, we actually, depending on what position the dog has to be in, wheel in our second table for the back end, and we have to do a slant on them.
Yeah,
but
you definitely have to plan ahead, because if you're in the middle of something and you're like, oh no, we got to position them this way, how are we going to do this? We have a similar situation where our dental table it's only so big. So the Danes, we end up having to basically put our hydraulic lift table perpendicular to the dental table. We have their head on the dental table, but the rest of their body is on the hydraulic table. That same situation.
I get that. It's funny. Actually, speaking of the zoology and things, I saw a meme recently that I thought was very fitting for me, and it was a picture of a mountain lion. It says, if I have ever been eaten by a mountain lion, just know my last words were, here, kitty, kitty. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Like, I kind of want to pet him.
Oh, that's my son right now. And I'm trying to teach him. It's like, look, man, not every animal wants to be pet. You're going to get bit. So far, he has not. The only time there's no fear. But he's finally gotten a little bit of more of a healthy respect for the iguana, because he tried to feed him through the outdoor one. The outdoor one is an aviary. So it's got the little slats he can put his fingers through. And he made that mistake of putting his little finger through. And of course, my iguana thinks it's a carrot or something. So thankfully, when he bit down, he didn't stay bit down. He released.
Right. He was like, this is definitely not food.
Of course, the kid, he starts bawling, and his dad has to reconcile it. He didn't lose his finger. So,
And he's not scared of the iguana now.
No, he's still, but he'll know when he needs to move his hand away. At least we got that going for him. He tried to pet a bumblebee, got stung by the bumblebee. Yeah, still tries to interact with bumblebees.
I don't think that I would see a bumblebee and think I want to touch it.
He will. He just goes up and he'll try to pet anything. I don't know what he'll end up doing in life, but it's probably going to be something animal related, or it'll be his side gig.
Well, whatever it is, he's going to do great. He has great role models. I have another review here for us for a native wildlife refuge, wetlands, and raccoon sanctuary in Bentonville, Arkansas. Have you ever been to Arkansas?
No, I wouldn't think of that as a wetland raccoon sanctuary.
I don't know much about the place myself. This is from Kiana, and it's a 1-star review. Kiana said, after reading the reviews, my husband and I decided to take the kids and have a Taco Bell picnic. Everything was great. The animals were so friendly until a giant raccoon ran at our group and attacked my son. He is on his way to the emergency room by ambulance right now. 1 star. Do not recommend. She posted a picture of her son from the ambulance.
What in the world? Her son, I'm thinking small child. That is not a small child. That is almost an adult grown man.
He looks like he could have defended himself against a raccoon. But it looks like also, I can send you the picture so you can have a better look, but it busted him in both his eyes.
Oh my God.
And she's in the ambulance, she's like, you know what I need to do? I need to leave a review about this.
Uh-huh.
The raccoons
not
at
very
the
much
raccoon park came after our food and then my son.
Well, who has a Taco Bell picnic? I don't even, I mean, tacos, sure, they're hand food. So, I mean, that'd be pretty easy, but I don't know. I don't think of that as a particular picnic food.
Right. You know what's a good idea? A picnic at the raccoon sanctuary.
Let's bring some Taco Bell, which, you know, is going to entice those suckers over here.
Yeah. And the fact that it was the big one that came out, like the little ones were kind of scared about it, but he was like, oh, I can take them. I'm going to get a taco.
Yeah.
It came out, and I could only assume gave him a good 2-piece there to the face, got his taco, took off, and mom is like, oh, this is going on your review.
right now, before I forget, we're going to type this out in the ambulance.
She asked him if she could post his picture on Google review.
I don't know, that face that he had didn't look like he was very happy about her having the camera on his face.
His friends are going to see that and be like, hey, remember that one time you got beat up by a raccoon?
He's never going to live that down.
No. Thanks, Mom. And I'm sure he had to get rabies vaccine after that.
Oh, I'm sure. And that poor raccoon, who knows?
What if you can't tell which one it was, right?
Oh, I don't know. But also, this is a sanctuary. Like, how were they able to have a picnic in a sanctuary? Did they ask permission, or did they just kind of pull up on the side of the road and be like, hey guys, let's go into the sanctuary and just plop down a blanket?
I'm probably get that. It didn't sound all the way above board, because especially they're not going to be like, this is a great place to bring food and your family. No, it's like a good place for you to come and observe the animals from a respectful distance and learn about nature, and don't put your fingers in their face. That kind of deal.
Don't offer them Taco Bell.
You were like, let's hit up the drive-thru and get to the sanctuary.
Oh man.
I have another one for a Daphne, Alabama dog park. Real original name called Daphne Dog Park. This one is from Elaine. Elaine left a 1-star review and said, bring your bolt cutters. The saddest part is that my dog was so interested in going, but it was chained shut. I wish I could give it 0 stars or negative stars.
It was closed, like she went after hours, or was it closed permanently?
But no, they have their regular park hours posted on Google here. I'm guessing either she came before it was opened or afterwards, so they had it chained shut. I also think that's illegal.
just a smidge, just a wee tad.
We're just out here giving bad advice on Google. If you want to go to the dog park, bring your bolt cutters. Make sure you have your ski mask on,
so your dog can enjoy about 30 minutes of runaround time.
Do not worry about putting your dog on a leash, because that's fine.
Yeah,
just let him run wild. That's what's happening over in Daphne.
Fun times. I guess I could talk a little bit about the wildlife I've had to deal with the last couple of months.
Great. That sounds exciting, though.
It's exciting, but it also is a little unnerving, because it's like, okay, I got this animal now. I hope that Walden's Puddle, which is one of our local facilities that take them in, I'm like, I hope they got room for them, because I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I am able to rig up temporarily enclosures at home until they're able to get them in, which is usually less than 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
The one that I had the most fun time with was it was the end of the day, and 2 fishermen had found a woodpecker that was tangled up in fishing line and still had a hook through its wing. We had to get the hook out and then untangle everything and then just assess them. And it was already close time by then for me to be able to transfer to Walden's. So just texted my husband, make sure our son is outside when I get home, because I need to rig up an enclosure to put this woodpecker in, and I don't need him to know where the woodpecker is. I happen to have, it's a dog crate. It's pretty big. And then I had, what are they called? It's like a all-weather cover for our truck, because we don't have it in the garage. And I just kind of used it to coat around the wire so that he wasn't able to see. So it made it a little bit easier for him to calm down. That woodpecker pecked through the cover. He didn't escape, but there are holes all in that cover now, so it's not waterproof or anything. I should have known. I mean, y'all can peck through just about anything. They got pretty hard head. Thankfully, he did really well in that little makeshift enclosure, and then I was able to transfer him.
You had to do some anesthesia to get the hook out of his wing?
Thankfully, no. He was pretty, usually when they're in shock, they don't move a lot. I covered his eyes just to keep him calm. And then I had one of my assistants hold him. Basically what we do is we just get some bolt cutters and you cut the hook. So it just slides out instead of like trying to get that hook part out.
With the barb and stuff.
Yeah. We didn't have to do any anesthesia. I would have been able to if I needed to, but usually when they're in shock like that, you don't want to try to put them under because that could just make their poor little body not be able to survive that ordeal. I was driving into work. I just parked and witnessed somebody hit a deer right outside my clinic.
You guys have wilderness around you, huh?
Yeah. And it's getting worse because we're considered close to Nashville. And so it's starting to get where we're having a lot of homes being built in this area. So it's displacing the wildlife. We're getting a lot more hit by cars or orphans that Good Samaritans bring in. We'll see how bad it gets when they start. They're eventually going to start extending the main highway that goes past our clinic. So we'll see how many displaced wildlife we get when that happens.
Right. We
had a lady come in with her troop of children and a little baby possum that I had to feed for, it was less than 24 hours. Thankfully, it was big enough that I wouldn't have to tube feed it. It's like, okay, I need to go find an extended little kitten nipple and appropriate milk solution for it and make sure it's hydrated.
Milk solution.
They can actually have the, it's not KMR, it's the puppy version. I was able to find that. We have a Tractor Supply like right next door to the clinic. I just went, I was like, I need this and this. And they're like, okay. As soon as I asked for it, they're like, do you have that baby possum? And I was like, what, did she come in here first? And they're like, yeah, we told her to go next door. That's the kind of a community we have is, oh yeah, we know everybody. I was able to get that possum over to Walden. Then my sister called me. She's at the convent in Nashville. And the convent has a lot of birds of prey in the area, I guess because they have a lot of pigeons and things like that the birds of prey go after. Well, a young Cooper's hawk ran into the side of their brick building. So she calls me. It was on my day off. And she's like, can you please come down here and get this hawk? Well, I'm like, okay, sure. Let me go and grab this hawk for you.
Yeah, just grab
the first hawk that I've found and brought to Walden's Puddle. I've had to deal with a couple of birds of prey that I've sent their way.
Did you have to do any treatments on the hawk before you...
The hawk, I just did an assessment. I'm sure that he probably unfortunately got humanely euthanized because he couldn't use his back legs. That usually indicates a spinal trauma, but if you can get the swelling down quickly, sometimes they can regain function. The only thing I did was assess them. I gave them some subcutaneous fluids just to kind of help with the shock. And Walden's got back to me pretty quick about that one. And so I was able to get to him transferred in less than 2 hours. I think they had 5 that day alone that came in.
Wow, they're really bad at flying. They're just running in all kinds of...
It's the young ones usually, and they'll lock onto their prey and then they don't think about where they are. They're just going after that.
And so many of our buildings are in their way of catching their dinner.
Yeah. Deer, Cooper's hawk, woodpecker, possum. I think that's everything this summer.
We don't get very many wildlife. We had one of these exotic pet type places that sells the more exotic pets. We had vaccinated some raccoons for them once. That was kind of fun to see the baby raccoon. I would like to see more large animals or exotics though, because I think they would be fun and exciting. Actually, when I did my externship in semester 4 is some large animal externship, and I'm very excited about that.
I originally wanted to do mixed animal. Unfortunately, there was not much in this area, and it was very competitive. But also, after the first 10 months out of that school, I was doing on-call emergency. And my husband was like, your next job, you are not doing that. Most mixed animal, you're on call because you have to help with, calving season, things like that. I do like being in general practice because I get variety still. It's not like if I specialized, I'd be working with the same thing every day. I mean, as much as the cool things they get to do, I wouldn't be able to be an ophthalmologist because I'd be tired of looking at eyeballs all day.
I work part-time at an eye specialty clinic. Mm-hmm. I like that we see the different cases there, but then I can always go home to my general practice.
Yeah, for sure.
It also helps when I'm in the general practice be like, oh, actually, I'm a little bit familiar with this. I can kind of help because they don't deal with a lot of eye issues.
Well, there's something new. Well, it's newer. It's less than 10 years old that I've actually been looking into. It's actually honeybee medicine. In 2017, there was a rule that incorporated honeybee. I think it's just honeybees. I don't know if it's bumblebees as well. I'm pretty sure it's just honeybees, that they are considered livestock now because they provide honey, which is used in a lot of our food sources. Right. So we as veterinarians now have to play the role of being good stewards for antibiotics for them, because there are certain diseases that are treated with, like oxytetracycline. I think lincomycin is another one. And there's a
How do you
third
give
one.
an antibiotic to a bee?
It's usually dispensed in like a food form, like chickens that are fed the little medicated pellets.
Yes.
Along those lines, they can make it into like a patty that they eat, or sometimes it's a powder form that they can dust the hive in, or I think it's like a sugar solution. That's one thing the conference it was a couple weeks ago. I just finished up with it because I did the on demand because it was online. It was very interesting to learn certain medical aspects of honeybees.
You're gonna start treating some honeybees then.
Well, I mean, I'll be available. The beekeepers will be most of the hands-on. I mean, you're going to make them go and inspect hives and things like that. I'm trying to educate myself because I don't know how many vets are interested in honeybees.
I'm scared of bugs. I like honeybees and I like what you're doing over there, but I don't want to be near you.
These guys, most of the time, unless you are physically making them angry, they're pretty docile. I was lucky that one of the beekeepers here in the county, he's actually the president of the beekeeping association here, let me come out and look at some of his hives just to get my hands on, because I can't have hives right now. I live in a subdivision. I have less than an acre of land, and I have a 2-year-old. He will definitely make those bees angry. It's nice to have that community where they're like, you can come look at my hives. You can kind of play and see what's normal, what's not normal. And hopefully, if anybody ever has any problems in the future, I'll be able to help with prescriptions and things that they may need.
That's great. I love that. If you guys have any additional questions for Dr. Calvo regarding the honeybees, you can reach out to us here at talkpetswithus@gmail.com. I will get your information over to her. Do you have anything else for us?
No, I think what you guys are doing it sounds fun. Hopefully you'll find some awesome reviews to use later down the road.
If you find any, send them to me. I'm always happy to add them.
All right, will do.
Thanks for hanging out with Nessie and Dr. Gina Calvo. Enjoy the AI-generated song called Dr. Gina's Animal Friends. Follow us on social media. The handles are in the show notes. See you next time. Bye!
There's a lady who cares for animals so fine. Dr. Gina Calvo makes connections divine. She knows the buzz like bees in the air. All the pets love her 'cause she's truly rare. She helps all creatures no matter how small, from the tiniest ant to the mightiest call. She listens to your pets like they're her own kin. With Dr. Gina, your pets always win. Hanging out with Dr. Gina, friends to all from cats to zebras. She knows every bark and every purr, and the bees buzz around her. She understands the bond we share so deep. Every wagging tail, every little peep. She brings smiles and cheers all around. With Dr. Gina, happiness is found. Oh, she's in tune with every pet's heart, right from the very start. She's a friend who listens and cares. No other vet compares. So let's give a cheer for Dr. Gina today, for all the love she gives in every way. From pet parents to the buzzing bees, she brings joy and sets hearts at ease. Hanging out with Dr. Gina, friends to all from cats to zebras. She knows every bark and every purr, and the bees buzz around her. Hanging out,
Let's Talk Pets. every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hanging out with Dr. Gina.